Garbage day.
Welcome to Lazy Reviews. Today I'll be talking about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, the sequel to Silent Night, Deadly Night 1, which we made a video about already.
You want some more? Huh?
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 from 1987 is quite possibly the laziest sequel I've ever seen. Where to begin with this one? If you've heard about Silent Night, Deadly Night before, it's probably because of the sequel. It is a notoriously bad movie. But I think what people normally don't talk about when they talk about how bad it is just how lazy it is. This film follows the younger brother. The brother who witnessed the older brother dressed as Santa being killed just as he's about to kill the Mother Superior, the woman who traumatized both of them. But it doesn't really start at the beginning. It starts with him presumably being in a mental ward or in a prison. It seems to be established that he actually is awaiting death penalty. So yes, he is probably in a maximum security prison somewhere. And this doctor is then there to try and understand him. The doctor asks to be left alone with him, even when the police tries to check up on him. He just wants to be left alone because he thinks he might if not be able to cure him, then at least be able to understand his motivations for what went on. This younger brother, we still don't know what he has done at this point. And as such, he of course asks him to go through his life. To tell him about his life, to tell him what might have happened to lead up to this present moment. Also, he's apparently not the first doctor to have done this. I think it's established that he's the third or fourth doctor.
You're shrink number 13.
To try and get him to tell the story and to understand him, maybe to treat him. And this is when it gets into really lazy territory. Because the first 40 minutes of this movie is just scenes from the first film. That is almost half the running time for this movie, just being scenes from the previous movie. That's lazy.
Very naughty.
And it also makes no goddamn sense, because he even talks about how he remembers his parents being killed and seeing his brother in this situation as well. And feeling his brother. I mean, the whole concept of memory is of course something that's debated and the research that kept being researched, but generally speaking, science today suggests that yes, you can be traumatized and take emotional memories in this sense or traumas with you from a very, very, very early age. But actual memories will emerge when you're 3 years or older, meaning he shouldn't be able to remember something when he was about 1 year old. But no, he remembers in vivid details something he can't possibly remember. Even the doctor actually calls him out on this. He's just, oh, but I was there. Ooh.
Because I was there.
No, is this supernatural? Is he lying? But then how would he have been told this? Because maybe when he got older, he looked into the deaths of his parents. But then again, it's never established. So I guess he just was fully sentient when he was 1 year old. I know, already from the beginning there are major plot holes, even before the plot actually begins, even before we are past the 40-minute mark of where the sequel begins. It should tell you what kind of movie you're dealing with.
You know, I don't like your attitude.
And although we only given snippets of this in between the scenes of the first film, all the acting of the main protagonist, it is some of the worst acting I've ever seen. He always sounds sarcastic.
But kindly Sister Mary was able to find me a family.
And malevolent.
Santa Claus.
And like a salty teenager.
He didn't leave me. He was 18.
It's just bad. Anyway, so what happened to the younger brother after the death of his older brother? Well, he was adopted by, to avoid Christmas trauma, he was adopted by a Jewish family. That is actually a funny idea. I do like the idea. Christmas is everywhere around him, but in theory, he will avoid his trauma. But that doesn't mean he's gone completely, because whereas it was only Christmas and Santa associated with the trauma of the first film, this kid associates nuns with trauma as well. So much so that they are almost elusive villains throughout the movie, where when he's a kid, he's just trying to warn his mom against these nuns. And then when she looks, they just enter a store so she can't see them. And then when she looks away, so they come back out like this bad horror movie cliche. And it gives him a panic attack. So it does also show flashbacks to the Mother Superior mistreating him and telling him about the virtues, the Christian morality that will dictate his life. But also, it's only very convenient, like when the movie needs that to be a motivation, it uses that as a motivation. When he doesn't, it's just left out. And then it fast forwards again to him being a teenager. And this is something else that confused me. So they have the child, then they have someone who's supposed to be him as a teenager. That actor looks 18. But then when he talks about how he is as an adult or a young adult, the story he tells also sounds like he's probably a teenager. The way he acts is like what a teenager would do. So maybe he's only 3 years older, but they cast a completely different actor to play him when he's 3 years older. Because reasons. So I rewatched these scenes to make sure I understood what was going on. It turns out it's even more stupid than I first thought. So as a child, he is supposed to be 12 years old, although the kid playing him looks maybe more like he's 10 years old. So he's 12 years old, then he says 5 years later. That's when he is cast as the teenage character I described. 5 years later means he's 17. This character is only in 2 scenes. One where they visit the grave of the now deceased adoptive father, and one where he actually commits his first murder doing someone trying to do the big no-no. Then they decide to get a new actor to play him for the rest of the film. Now, when we see this actor the first time, we don't know how much time passes, but when we see him the first time, he says, now I'm 18. Meaning that instead of just having one character play him from being 17, and then 18, and then the rest of the movie, they decide to have one character play him when he's 17, and then pick someone else with a different hair color, who looks very different, to play him when he's 18. This is one of the weirdest decisions I've ever seen in a movie. What were they trying to achieve doing this? It only adds confusion. Why have someone else play him when there's only a 1 year difference? Then just say, okay, he may not look 17, but just cast a 20-year-old. All the movies do it all the time. This movie can do it as well. But no, they decided to cast one character playing him when he's 17, and then another one to play him when he's 18. This is why this movie is frustratingly bad, but in an entertaining way, because it does these things that's just so abominably, frustratingly, mind-blowingly stupid that I can talk so much about it. And that you should see it. Let's move on. And he meets a girl. They fall in love. He thinks that he's the first partner she has had, which is important for him. You know, because you're not supposed to be promiscuous, according to the way he was brought up. Also, this woman is probably also in her mid-20s. It's really confusing how old he's supposed to be. They go to the cinema together. At the cinema, they are enjoying themselves, watching... Sorry, this movie is it's impossible to talk about this movie because it's so weird, so random. At the cinema, there are some hoodlums who are talking too loudly in the cinema and being annoying. They are probably supposed to be annoying teenagers. Again, they look like they're in the mid-20s. And the movie that they're then trying to watch, apparently he didn't know what kind of movie he would walk into. Like, he has no idea what he's going to watch. And then it's apparently a Christmas slasher. But not only is it a Christmas slasher, it shows the exact same scenes from the first film where the man who killed the parents, the scene where he kills the shop owner, robs the convenience store, that is what this film opens up with. Like, what the hell? What's going on here? You would think it's a parody, but this is not a parody. This I think, is a serious film. And as he realizes that this is a Santa killing, like, he switches.
Punish.
Trauma is being triggered, and he decides it's time to murder. So he goes up and kills the teenagers, annoying teenagers. Nobody notices people being killed in the cinema. And as he's killing these annoying teenagers, these punks, this other guy, who also looks like he's 25, sneaks down and behaves like this little teenager kid towards this woman. It's her ex-boyfriend, Chip. The next day they're walking around and suddenly they run into this Chip guy again who has a different hair color and he's being an asshole. That makes our protagonist, or should I say antagonist, take his face down to the car battery and just short wire his brain. And of course the girlfriend becomes terrified about what she just witnessed, so he kills her as well, because that's how these traumas work. Of course he keeps saying naughty, because that's like his traumatic catchphrase in this movie. And this policeman comes up to him, seeing what has happened, and is the world's most stupid police officer. So stupid that he gets killed by this guy. And as the antagonist picks up the revolver of the police officer, he just starts laughing maniacally. And then he just goes down the street, just shooting people. And that's when he walks down, sees a guy putting out his garbage, and exclaims,
Garbage day! Huh? No!
That's where that important famous scene comes from. As he continues down on his murder killing spree, the cops arrive. He's about to blow his own brains out, but he's out of bullets.
No more bullets.
But then it's revealed that once he's done telling the story, so the doctor is recording this interview, and he's used the recording tape, to choke out, kill the doctor, and somehow manages to escape this prison or wherever they are. How? He kills the doctor, but there are guards outside the door. He can't just escape. How does he escape? The security... Please write good movies, not this shit. It's insane. And what he does is, apparently the Mother Superior is still alive. I might have missed something, but she is scarred in her face, like she's been burned by something. I really don't think we see what happens, since she now has a scar. It just kind of happened. And he goes to kill her in her own home, and that's quite an intense chase, like this confrontation between the two. She finds a knife in her drawer, and that's this small fight between them. And he kills her, and as he kills her, he's shot dead by the police. Also, this nun who helped his brother in the first film is back for a few seconds. And she's only really in the movie to help the police understand that he's coming after the Mother Superior, and then to see the Mother Superior dead and faint. And the very last frame of the movie is that us thinking that the antagonist is dead, well, his eyes actually open at the very last frame of the movie. So will he be in the third installment? We'll see. So seemingly the reason why he's triggered to go on this killing spree, and also why he's killing these teenagers at the cinema, is that he's traumatized by how this Mother Superior told him that when you do something bad, you need to be punished. Meaning that every time someone makes a slight transgression, he feels like he needs to punish them. That's why he kills the people in the cinema, that seeing the murderer Santa Claus triggers him to punish the people who are misbehaving in the cinema.
Very naughty. Punishment is good. Punishment is absolute.
Punish!
But from there on, there is no punishment. It's just a full-on rampage. So it's so not even inconsequential, it's just inconsistent. It's just bad. This movie is really poorly written. There's no real motivation behind anything. It's just really stupid. And even, let's say, so he obviously hates the Mother Superior. He obviously has a deep-seated hate and probably also fear of her. But then why does he obey her command to punish? Because that's what happens. Whenever he's about to punish someone, he gets a flashback to her saying punish. Why? Punish, kill everyone who's been naughty? But is that what she taught him? I understand that the complexity of trauma and upbringing, that even someone who's caused you trauma, someone you hate, you might still take their philosophy or the teachings, the way they brought you up, the lessons they taught you, the rules they taught you. You might still abide by them. You might still become a part of you that will, even if you hate the people who taught you these things, they might still be an intricate part of you. And that's maybe why he punishes and why he obeys her, even though he hates her. But it still feels weird. It doesn't feel earned. I'm complaining about a really bad movie from 1987. Now I feel silly. Then again, that's what my channel is for.
Young and stupid. That was my problem.
Well, like, this is poorly written. This is some of the worst acting I have ever seen. Some of the worst writing I've ever seen. Some of the laziest filmmaking I've ever seen. The question is this so bad it's good? If you skip the first 40 minutes of this film and just go straight to where the actual movie starts, then yes, this is so bad it's good. This is traumatically bad. You feel abused so bad it is. Like, it hurts your brain, but it can be very entertaining in the same way, or as a result of that. So yes, the second Silent Night, Deadly Night film is so bad it's good. The first one isn't. It's just a mediocre horror movie, a mediocre slasher. And that's it. That's all I'll say about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Stay tuned, maybe subscribe if you're really interested in seeing my review of Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, the next video that will come out. Who would have thought?
Do you? You want some more? Huh? Huh?
Until then, have a nice time. Enjoy the season. Enjoy December, if you're watching this in December. And just overall, have a splendid time. Bye-bye.